One thing we always like to do here at FloGrappling is we like to highlight the favorites, the dark horses, the disruptors, and the wild cards. And we have a pretty solid list here of some of the people who match those descriptions. And man, there are a lot of very disruptive names in these divisions.
How? For the fans out there who may not know what you mean, what is a disruptor and a dark horse?
Let's explain. So a favorite, that's simple. It's the guy who you look at a division and his name jumps out and you're immediately thinking, wow, okay, that guy has got a great shot at taking gold. A dark horse is the kind of person who maybe their name is in the division and they maybe get better results than you expected them to get. So we try to identify those dark horses. It's like, okay, well, that is a guy, you got to kind of keep half an eye on him because he could actually have some good results, but he's by no means a favorite. And then a disruptor. A disruptor is the kind of person who may not even get to the later rounds. They might not make the podium. They may get a gold or a silver medal. But the thing is, the disruptor is the last kind of person that you want on your side of the bracket. Whether it is the first round match or whether it's the semi-final, you don't want to fight that guy, you know, because he's just got that kind of game that messes everybody up, right? And let's kind of like, you know, just throw out some of these disruptors. Personally, I think that somebody like Richard Alacon is a disruptor. I mean, we saw him a couple of years ago. It was right before ADCC, I want to say. And, you know, he goes out there and it was at Nogi Pans and he beats Gianni Grippo because he's got this excellent combination of really dangerous, scrambly wrestling and just this real grit backed up with really solid fundamental jiu-jitsu, and it's the kind of guy he could score on you. He can make it really difficult for you to score back on him, and he can take you out with a run-in, right, Corey? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, especially with a guy like Alacon who's got incredible wrestling and great top game, and even if you maybe end up winning that match, he's worn you out way more than the next guy you face will be worn out. You know, his pace will have taken a lot out of you.
Another couple of disruptors I want to highlight, like for example the middleweight division. There's a few disruptors in the middleweight division. Now, the first one is PJ Barch, right? Because you don't look at an IBJJF division and you don't immediately think PJ Barch, especially when you've got guys like Nogi World Champion Renato Canuto in the division. You don't think PJ Barch, wow, he's a favorite. But you do think he could mess some people up, right?
That's fair. I think that's totally fair. PJ is definitely one of the toughest guys, and when he's on, man, he's really something a sight to see, you know.
Yeah.
But he's hot and cold sometimes, right? And I feel like we've seen that very recently. ECI, Emerald City Invitational, four wins, 4 submissions. Who's number one? A little lackluster, you might say. I think he would say that about that performance.
Very fair. Yeah.
And very short time period in between those events. So maybe it's just a psychological state thing. Maybe a lot of different factors at play there. But on any given day, PJ Barch could very well be a champ. But you definitely, in every single match, are going to have a tough time.
Exactly. Yeah. Another disruptor in that division, the middleweight division, is that, you know, he is an IBJJF World Nogi champion, is Hugo Marquez, you know? And that kind of guy, man, his jiu-jitsu is... no offense, Hugo, but what I'm going to say, his jiu-jitsu is horrible. And what I mean horrible... It's amazing.
I'm going to go ahead and distance myself from this man real quickly here.
His jiu-jitsu is amazing. He's a black belt no-gi world champion. But if you're an opponent and you've got to face him, his jiu-jitsu is horrible because he'll score on you. And then you just cannot score on him back. He is the master at playing the strategy. He knows the rules inside out. You can't even get an advantage on this kid. He's a freak athlete. He's super explosive. He's very fast. And my description, if I was one of his opponents, I'd be like, damn, that guy's got horrible jiu-jitsu. I don't want to fight him. Very disruptive. Right, Corey?
I don't know if I can agree with you on horrible, but no, he's for sure explosive. I remember I think there was a subversive where he hit a flying triangle or flying armbar on John Combs in the very final 30 seconds or something like that. Or maybe I have that.
You have that
the other way around. Yeah, it was John submitted Hugo, actually, yeah.
But still, he
John had to work for it.
He has that kind of pace too, where
Yes.
you wouldn't not expect a flying triangle from him, because he just has, he has a loaded gun waiting for you.
Yeah, great way to put it. Why don't we look at some of the others? Kind of like we've highlighted a couple of the favorites in some of these divisions, right? There are some that stand out, but what about some of the other ones, like those kind of the wild cards? The guys whose name we weren't really expecting to see, the dark horses.
Yeah, I have a good one here for middle heavyweight. Jefferson Gurezzi from Unity. He's a ADCC trials silver medalist down in Brazil.
One of the toughest trials in the world, by the way.
Yeah. Really, really awesome jiu-jitsu. Super tough, very durable.
Very low key though, right?
Yeah, he's a very humble guy, nice enough, but savage on the mat.
Am I right, Corey, as well? Is Jefferson, he's a no-gi pan champion?
Jefferson,
I want to say 2019, right?
2019, that's right. Yeah, and he made it to the final in the Absolute last year as well, no-gi pants.
Wow.
And then, I think he
Or
lost
semifinal.
to...
Sorry, he lost to Kainan.
There you go.
Was that in the Absolute? That was the Absolute.
Yeah.
He had a really... Actually, that match was pretty fun, but he had a really close match as well with Ronaldo Jr.
There you go. Yeah, 2019, he took Pan No-Gi Championship gold. He took gold at the European No-Gi Championships, and he took bronze at the IBJJF World No-Gi Championships. Yeah.
So I think Jefferson's definitely a name that may not leap out at
right?
a ton of people, but I think he could very well find himself in the final and take out some big names along the way.
Hell yeah.
But middle heavy is definitely really stacked. There are a few, I think, competitors that land on this disruptor dark horse spectrum.
Man, don't forget Stanley Rosa. We've mentioned his name many times on this podcast. He's the guy who scored the first ever legal heel hook in IBJJF No-Gi tournaments earlier this year. You guys were there to see that. And Stanley's got a very dangerous leg lock game, right, Corey?
He certainly does, and he's very very patient with it. I think he can clear out just about anybody who's not interested in playing that game. He will definitely single out the opponents that he faces who don't want to play leg locks and make them play that game, and he'll come out on top. So if we talk about a disruptor, that's exactly what he is there.
Nice. I just want to throw a couple of names out here because there's such an exciting lineup. You've got guys like Heisem is competing in the super heavyweight division alongside Diego Ramalho and Arnaldo Maidana. Now, Diego Ramalho of ZR team, you might think, wow, what's he doing all the way up at super heavy? He actually likes competing against the big guys.
He's mentioned that in some interviews before. He thinks he's a little faster, a little...
His game works well against him, I guess.
Better suited, I suppose.
And he's probably naturally like a middle heavy at the biggest, but he scored a really nice steamer lock kind of toe hold against Giancarlo Bardoni just this weekend in New Orleans. So
what was that? What division was that? Heavyweight?
I want to say it was heavyweight. Yeah.
Interesting.
And we mentioned there's a lot of like the famous names returning IBJJF No-Gi World Champions like Gianni Grippo and Johnny Tama are in there. UFC fighter Herbert Burns, that's Dorino's brother, of course. He signed up. Paolo Miao, Johnny Ocasio. Man, a lot of very, very good names worth watching. And of course, the women's divisions are really, really stacked as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. Like we said, over 25 female competitors, some really fun names. Light feathers, pretty stacked. We have Jessica Khan, Maisa Bastos, Lavinia Barbosa, Patty Fontes are all in there. Alex Wynn, Gabby McComb, Amanda Canuto, and Patty Machado and featherweight. Some other big names that leap out right off the page. We have Liz Clay, Rafael Guedes, both in middle heavyweight. Tata Natalie Ribeiro is in a lightweight. I mean, there's a lot of really good divisions. The Absolute's going to be crazy as well. Kenna Rusing's in the mix.
You took the words out of my mouth, man. That Absolute's going to be wild.
Yeah, and I think, it's only a two-person division, but I think there's still a clear dark horse in this one. We have Mayara Montero is with Kendall Rusing in super heavy. Mayara is just moved to the U.S. 6 months ago.
Black belt, right?
Checkmat black belt. Really, really tough. Solid wrestling, and I think it's going to be a great match with Kendall Rusing. So that's a fun one there. It's super, super heavyweight.